it's like one of those things, you love coffee a lot, but when you walk into a coffee shop, you don't know what you're looking at the menu. And then you know what the worst part is? You ask, hey, what's an espresso con pena?
Oh no.
And they start explaining to you, and you're like, I still don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And so, what if we could undo some of that mystery? And that really speaks to me. I'm a music teacher. You ever talk to a music person about music?
Yes.
You don't know what they're saying. You don't know what they're saying. You talk to a music person, and by the time they're done saying Beethoven, you're like, I still don't. I walked in to get clarity, and I left with more confusion.
Yeah.
And so, I think we can bring a little bit of light to this coffee conversation on what it is and what's going on in a coffee shop. What is coffee?
It's a bean.
It's a bean?
It's a bean.
What do you mean?
Delicious bean.
Like, what's a bean?
Yeah, well, so my understanding is, correct me if I'm wrong, Sean.
I will.
My understanding is the coffee is just the extraction of the oils of the bean, the taste, the aroma of the bean.
Isn't that amazing?
It's pretty crazy.
Like, I mean, what is a bean? Did I ever ask you that? That's what bothers me. When I was looking into coffee, I mean, like, let's take this back. What's an
let's
egg?
go.
What's a chicken? So, coffee, right? This is coffee. Everything on this menu is coffee, but coffee is also like a plant. Like, I think if
Right.
you were to really be sophisticated, you would say cafea, cafeyu, cafeha, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Kind of like a rose bush, or a pine tree, or what's another bush? A cherry tree bush. When it grows and produces its fruit, it's just like a row of cherries, right? And you pull it off, and inside are two beans, two coffee pits, bean pits. And then what happens? All right, so we get this, and how do we then get from the cherry to the cafe? Oh, that's right.
There it is.
You have to clean it, you have to cook it, and then you have to cut it, which is like a way to say grind it. So, tell me about roasting. Are you a roast master?
No.
No.
I'm not a roast master.
You're not?
No. Dude, I'm a, so you're the etymology guy, right? You're going all the way
I'm
back.
origin. I'm like, what is
I'm
man?
like,
What is coffee?
Yeah. I'm like, this morning, what can get me the best cup of coffee and give me the best morning experience? That's where I'm at. That's
Man.
right. So I
What's
wanna,
it like to be free? What's it like to be free of mental constraints?
Like, I'm just enjoying this coffee. This is good.
I see.
Yep.
Well, what do you know about roasting coffee?
Not much.
Nothing.
There's different phases, right? You got
Okay.
light, medium, dark.
Okay, but
And that's-
do you know, I think this is like a thing that gets most people. Dark roast doesn't mean like more caffeine.
Yeah. Yep.
Correct. Like, yeah, it doesn't, or
Yes, correct.
Yes,
I'm with you.
yes,
I'm
correct.
With you, Sean. Yes,
Fact.
yes.
Tell-
facts.
what do you know about that? Why is that the case? Why is there
I-
confusion?
Well, I think there's confusion between maybe just the name light, medium, and dark. People assume that's going to have like it's actually doing something different to the bean as far as what it's extracting, and it is to a degree. You have the flavor difference.
Yeah.
Like dark beans, I feel like people just think burnt. That's like what happens in their head.
It's like charring meat.
It's like yeah. Pretty
Or like
much.
eggs.
Which
Like dark
Which
eggs.
is what it is if you do it wrong. Like if you go too far.
Yeah,
right?
it's like a marshmallow. It's a marshmallow. A coffee bean's a marshmallow.
Now it's a marshmallow.
Now
It was a
it's a-
cherry, now it's a marshmallow.
That's the evolution of coffee, or the progression. Okay, so you're saying that with the dark roast, it's like taking it up against the fire edge.
It is. It is. And with all good things, the closer you get to the edge, the better it is, you know?
Oh.
It takes art to get to that point.
Okay, but talk to me. So, I feel confident now. I understand where coffee comes from.
Sure.
Right? We reviewed that. Coffee
From
is
a cherry tree.
Coffee comes from a cherry tree. Coffee is a plant, and it's a plant that produces fruit. And inside the fruit is a pit seed bean.
Yep.
And then we take that bean and we wash it with some Dawn detergent.
Yep.
Wait, no, maybe just water or something.
I like mine with Dawn.
Okay, I take
Yeah.
we wash it, And we've cleaned it, we've dried it, now we want to roast it.
Yep.
So, like, what's going to be the difference between a light roast and a dark roast?
I guess I've just always assumed it's time roasted.
Well, it's probably
Like,
a flavor
you're wrong,
thing, right? Because it's like steak. Like rare steak has a different taste than well done steak, right?
It's true. So here's a question for you: I find light and medium roast tend to be much more fruity, right? Dark roast tends to be more chocolatey,
Yeah.
deep. Is that purely the roast, or is that the bean?
Okay. I think it's the roasted thing. Okay, because coffee, right? It really. I mean, look at the picture. Ethan's gonna put that in there. It's like a fruit.
Yeah.
And so I think the more you roast it, the further it gets away from the more fruity, citrusy flavors. Even though I would say when you are dealing with coffee in our fancy European way, where it's at this core level,
Yep.
you get a lot more of you're aware that coffee is actually kind of fruity,
Yes.
which blows my mind.
Yeah. Yep.
Coffee's a fruit. I'm gonna say that 3 more times because it's crazy. So I think when you're roasting, lighter is gonna get you more of the fruits.
Yep.
When you cook it longer, that's naturally gonna change its flavor more, just like a steak, just like a marshmallow. All right, so we're gonna get practical. All of a sudden, we've got now
Like-
people are overwhelmed.
Now there's a lot
I've got to
going
talk
on.
about the coffee bean, or to give me confidence when I start looking at all this jazz. So on the menu,
Yep.
they've got brewed coffee and espresso, and I'm already confused. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Brew just means like making a drink.
Coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Don't get lost. I can feel like you're trying to get lost and
I
you're
am.
confused and you need help. What does that mean?
Teacher Bonet, save me.
Okay. So when we brew something, we're just
Yeah.
making a drink, and so we've got like that main ingredient, the coffee ground, right? Like in
Okay.
here, boom, baby, coffee grounds. Now we're gonna add water that's heated.
Correct.
And we're gonna make a drink from that. Like
Yep.
the water is going to be contaminated, or insert positive
Yep.
word here.
Yep.
And that's that we're brewing. We're brewing.
Yep.
Now espresso, we'll save espresso because that's like a really specific way to brew or make the coffee. The final coffee drink that we point at. Is this one mine? This is yours. I'll take a sip.
Probably mine. Check it out. It's good.
Okay. So the first thing we got here is drip coffee. What's drip coffee?
It's water and coffee.
What do you mean?
Drip coffee is just beans and then water, drip,
Yeah.
going through, right? So it's soaking up the beans
Yeah.
and then getting you contaminated water.
We should
Right.
change that word contaminate. I'm sorry for
I know,
contaminating
now
our
it
video.
sounds like I don't want to drink
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It's what's the
How about
positive way?
enhanced?
Enhance it.
Enhanced water.
Water. It's enhanced water.
It is.
It's bean juice.
That's what it is.
So maybe the drip coffee is the most simplest way to have coffee.
Right.
Because it's just hot water flowing through the ground up bean.
Yep.
And so it's then conforming. It's transformed.
Right.
It's being transformed to water. Now we insert the bean flavors,
Yep.
and now we got that. And there's a filter so that you don't actually eat the tiny little
Yep.
bean shards.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So this is like the most basic brewed coffee. What about a pour over?
Pour over.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, that's like the fancy.
Why?
man's
Why do they
drip
have
coffee.
to do all these things? Why
Dude.
can't everything just be drip?
No. Why can't everything be pour over or espresso?
Okay, talk to me. Talk
drip,
to me.
Drip is the cheap, quick.
Cheap and quick.
I mean, it's
Because it's simple.
simple.
You just
Yep.
mash up the bean,
Yep.
put it in a bowl, and then pour water on it.
Well, so here's the thing with drip, it can be automatic. You can like preset your little coffee maker to go off when you wake up in the morning and have coffee, and it technically gets the job done. It's like getting you caffeine. It's just getting you the caffeine.
Yeah, it's like a cigarette.
You have very little control over the actual flavor, right? So when
Will you acknowledge my cigarette comment?
yeah, I'm gonna just move past it if I can.
Right. Okay. All right. We're moving past it. Action. All right, so what's a pour over?
It's actually as simple as it sounds.
Okay,
All
talk
right,
to me.
we've got our beans. We've got our filter,
Oh my goodness.
right? And
Okay.
then we're just gonna literally pour coffee over.
What's the point of why is the scale here?
Yeah, so here's the difference between this and drip. We can get precision to get the correct extraction.
What is extraction?
Okay.
So like, what are you, an alien?
Yeah.
Coming from my brain?
Okay. So when we pull out the coffee flavor
Right, water.
into the water,
Shooting through the bean.
If you were to get as much bean extraction as you can, as much from the bean to the water, you can get.
I want like, if I've got a molecule, a drop of water,
Yep.
I want like 100% of that water to be beaned up.
I mean, that's impossible.
Okay.
Because then you just have a bean.
Dang it, I'll just eat the bean.
But
Y'all
you-
serve beans here?
But you can get 30% of the bean to the water. 30%.
What?
Yeah. Isn't that
Dude.
crazy? But if you do that, it's going to taste terrible. It's
Okay.
going to be super bittery and awful. Typically, people like 15 to 20%, depending on how strong you like your coffee.
Too much of a good thing's a bad thing?
That's right. And too little is a bad thing, too. It can taste like sour.
Balance.
All right. So in this case, we've got our ground to the point that we want. Bigger grounds means less is getting extracted, right? Because there's less surface area of the
Wow.
coffee. Yeah, I know, right? And then fine is you're getting more of it. So
And
you
you
get a
mean
more
like
bitter.
the size of the bean rock that we create?
Yes.
like-
the bean rock.
Like if I'm gonna put it through like a chopper,
Yep.
like a stencil chopper, I can get big bean rock, like little
Yep.
bean, or okay.
Dip,
Fine,
and
sure.
that's your control. So that's the thing you can really easily control.
like
And
control
do-
freak.
No. So let's say you create a brew.
I
Let's say
acknowledge my weird comments, Jordan.
I'm not
Okay.
the audience acknowledge it.
all right.
Let's say you brew a cup and it's way too bitter.
Okay.
What are you going to do differently? You can
Spit
do
it out.
You can do a
Oh,
well,
yeah.
that. But you can do a million things differently. Or if you keep all the variables the same, you can just adjust the grind
Yeah.
to be finer or coarser. So in this case, what we're going to do, if I can figure out how to use this, and switch it to grams. There it is. We're going to do a pour over.
Whoa.
Yeah, we're gonna do it right here,
With the
right now.
fancy?
With the fancy, so you can get even distribution. Again,
water.
You're removing as many variables as possible of change. So the next cup I brew, the next cup I do a pour over for, will be the same as this one, other than the ground.
Okay.
Right? Because-
Like if I want to change something.
Yep, if
yeah.
you want to change something. So what we're gonna do is just pour it in, start in the center.
You're just pouring the water over the coffee.
100%.
That's why they call it a pour over.
That's it. That's it, man.
So this is basically what a coffee machine does.
Yeah, but I'm more than a machine.
Okay,
Sean.
all right, sorry. Now, one thing that's unique about the pour over, when you think about a normal coffee style, it just goes right down.
Yep.
But this, you can control the way you wet how much, and
Yep. And in that first pour, people have different preferences, but you can go 50 to 100 milligrams of water.
whoa,
right?
that's why you're using this
That's
now.
why I'm using that,
You,
yep,
You didn't
yep.
just dump that whole thing in there.
No.
Okay.
No, heck no. So now we've let sit for like 45 seconds.
Yeah.
And what actually happens is the gases start to release.
The gases.
The gases,
There's a
yeah.
bomb?
There's gas trapped in the bean. So we're gonna do another one, and this time it's actually gonna look a lot different. Now there's like a white foam to it.
Creme.
Yep.
Crema.
And that's going to get us more. And I'm watching this. I want to get to 200 this time. And I'm way over 200, but there you go.
But that's the technique of it.
That's a technique.
You're controlling the amounts of water you're pouring. It's almost like when you put something in the microwave and they're like, cook for a minute, and then like flip it over.
Yep.
That's what you're doing here.
Yep, exactly right. And then if I were to be really precise, I could time myself on how long each pour is to get those exactly the same too.
And that's all going to change the flavor at the end.
Yep.
Because, again, how are we cooking it is all going to change the final tasting product. Okay.
Yeah.
So what about a French press?
A French press is.
Should we need a scale?
Yeah, let's just move that. Even though we aren't done with it, that's okay. Sorry, pour over. French press, you're basically just soaking the beans.
What do you mean? What the heck is this?
They're just sitting in there. This is
what is this? Is this an antenna?
No.
Is this the government listening to me?
No. So there's a filter here, and that's gonna push all the beans down to the bottom. But right now we're just
Wait, there's beans in there?
There's beans in there, man. There are beans in there. We're just gonna push this down, and then we're gonna end up with just our extracted bean water.
Show me. Oh, you're not kidding. You're just pushing it down.
Yeah, you just push it down.
Okay, and so the beans are here.
Yep.
And you're pushing them down to the ground. There's a filter so that, and then now the beans have been separated.
Yep.
So when I pour this into a cup,
just make sure you get the, yep, there's a little, there you go. Now we're good. Bada bing. So then, it's likely that that's going to be a little bitter because it's been sitting there for too long.
Oh, what do you mean?
So potentially we got like a 30% extraction from the beans, maybe not quite that much, depending on the ground. But if the ground was coarse enough, it'll be great. Mm-hmm. Is it good, or is it a little bitter?
It's good. It's not
great.
bitter.
Okay.
Okay, so really with these brew options, we've got drip, easy, we've got pour over, kind of culty, very ritualistic.
Yeah.
And then we've got the French press, which we're gonna get some camera action to see what's inside. But this is kind of like the tea bag method, where I've got the grounds in a bag and I'm putting it in there. Yeah. And at some point I'm like, okay, instead of pulling the tea bag out, I just push it down and say, I'm done with you.
Yeah.
All right, so now we've got to talk about espresso. I'll go.
Okay.
Okay, these are all very similar, little variation. I think espresso is the most extra-based way to make coffee because it's the most concentrated form. Okay, so when you make espresso, the ratio is really tight. It's like 2 to 1. So if I've got 100 grams of beans, it's way too much. Let's say 10.
Okay, got it.
We use 18 at my house. All right, so if I'm using 18 grams of beans, I want my final, the weight of my final espresso, which is my coffee, right? That's where things get weird. Espresso is just coffee. It's just a way that I've created the coffee.
Yep.
But I'm slapping fancy words, just like I do.
Just to make it sound
so that final thing is going to be 36. 18 times 2 is?
36.
You sure?
I'm sure.
I think you're right.
100% positive.
So 2 to 1. So I'm getting, when we were talking about that water, I'm trying to transform that into much coffee bean juice as I can. Okay, but then the ground, like that coffee bean that I had, it's compact, it's tight together. This is all loosey-goosey. You just threw it in there.
It's true.
Willy-nilly.
Facts.
Yep. Loosey-goosey, willy-nilly. This is tight, right, Mike. Okay, and then the water is very pressurized too. This was like taking a bath, right? When you're doing espresso, right, you're just jamming that.
I try to keep a straight face, but it seems to just encourage you to go farther and farther with your analogy.
Keep a straight face, like just entertain the guy. All right, so, and that's what makes the espresso really extra, right? So we've got the amount of water that we're passing through the coffee veil is tight. Only like a little bit of water going through a lot of bit of bean. The bean is really tight, and the water is very pressurized.
Yep.
Okay, and so then you get this espresso.
Yep.
Which is just a little bit of coffee that's thicker too, because you get more of that oil that's inside the bean, the creme. And then from there, it's like 1,000,000 drinks that we can do with it. It's almost like bread. Like when you think about what can you do with bread, I can make pizza. I can make donuts. Did you know donuts are bread based?
Yeah, you're making me hungry.
What do you want to eat?
Yeah.
Y'all serve donuts here?
Bagels. Let's do bagels.
Bagel? That's another bread product. PB&J?
Yeah.
Okay, espresso is like this. I mean, you can do you can just drink it straight, which I like to do. Now, let's talk about espresso drinks.
Yeah.
We've got is that the latte?
This is the latte.
Okay. A latte. Tell me what a latte is. I gave you the espresso base. What's a latte?
Dude, you gotta tell me. I don't do lattes.
Okay, I
don't do lattes,
okay.
so you gotta tell me.
You've got the espresso in there, and then you take milk, right? Where is milk? I'm just kidding. What is milk? So you take the milk and you steam it. You know what steamed milk is?
Tell me more.
Steamed milk is where you're adding hot pressurized water, and it's changing. It's, milk is usually very silky.
Yep.
And now we try to foam it up. You know what I mean? Like we take it from the silk And it's like you ever have like a blanket before, right? You can have just like a quilt blanket, or you can have a comforter which has cotton inside of it. Steamed milk is like a cotton blanket.
So this is like a blanket.
Yeah.
What
So
I've got right here.
you've got a little bit of espresso, and then you've got a lot of this steamed milk in there, and then the white girls among us, then they like are putting candy in there or sugar, right? So that's what a latte is. A latte at its base is that espresso plus this milk that's been steamed. Hey, how's it going? Oh, come on in. Okay, so right, latte is the most popular espresso-based drink, but then we've got the Americano. Americano, it's just the espresso and water. What more needs to be said?
Nothing more.
Should I take a drink?
I like simple, personally. I think
you an
the simple
Americano
is
guy?
good. I'm an Americano pour over
You're a simple
pour
man.
over guy. I am.
Me, I like lattes. Okay.
You like the comfort. The comfort.
But then we've got latte, it's the espresso, it's the
Yep.
milk, maybe some candy action in there.
Yep.
We've got the Americano, it's just the espresso and hot water. But then we've got the, the macchiato. We've got the cappuccino. Okay, so the cappuccino, anytime we're dealing with the cappuccino, the macchiato, we're just trying to play with, all right, we can take espresso, we can add milk, and we can add like the steamed milk, and maybe there's the creamy part of the milk. So with the cappuccino, it's all about the thirds. Right?
It's a
That's Bill on me?
yeah.
Okay.
It's a third of each.
Third of each.
That's what I'm
so
hearing
you
right
take the espresso, which is one of the thirds.
Yep.
And then you take the steamed milk, which is the other third, and then the creme of the steamed milk, which is like the other third. It's kind of like when you milk a cow. Did you know that cream, you know what cream is? It's the milk. Like you milk the cow, and there's milk, but on the top is cream. It's like steamed milk. And so the cappuccino is like the most purest milking process.
Your etymology level is just like so much more intense.
So
than mine.
I think that's enough. I think
that's pretty good.
I feel more confident about what coffee is and why and how.
I feel confident. There's a lot of things I don't know. And this is like a good intro, right? It's like we get a little taste that there's a bigger world out there.
It's a big world.
And then it's time to explore. I mean, you've got YouTube, you got.
But here's what it's all about. It's keeping it simple. Keep it simple, baby.
So just go with pour over or drip.
I was thinking more of like coffee is like a plant that we've just added water to, and maybe we add some milk.
Yeah, I think what I've learned is that coffee beans are ultimately just marshmallow cherry trees.
Marshmallow, grapes, steaks, aliens. I feel like aliens were involved.
No, actually, we didn't hit on that. So
I called you an alien twice, Jordan. This is one of your ways you ignored me.
Missed it.
All right, well, I hope you're well caffeinated. Oh, caffeine gives you energy.
It sure does.
Actually, that's how they found coffee. Is goats started eating the cherries, and they're like, my goat's acting weird.
Are you serious?
Yeah. The 10th
Where
century.
was that?
Oh, Ethiopia.
Oh, okay.
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah. So the goats started eating the cherries, and like, we should drink this. And like, all right, let's drink it. Yeah. Let's drink the goat cherries.
Dude, thanks for educating me, Teacher Bonet.
It's what I do. It's what I do. Cut.